Hi everyone, I'm CelesteOrchid and welcome to my YouTube channel. We are celebrating the 31 days of Halloween, and in this tutorial we are going to be showing you two different necklaces, hair barrettes, and a little extra bleeding eyelashes kind of thing at the end. Feel free to go ahead and click that red button down below to subscribe, but let's go ahead and get into the tutorials. For the necklaces, you'll need fishing line, beads, flathead pins, needle nose pliers, scissors, universal glue or E6000, a sewing needle and thread, jump rings, and a clasp. This is the base of the necklaces. I will be using this as my base for both necklaces. Since I don't want to repeat myself like I just did, feel free to come back at this point if you get lost or don't understand why the second necklace is already made and I'm just jumping straight into a different part of that tutorial. So to begin the base, start by taking your fishing line and have it go around your neck. Find the size that you like and cut about an inch from that measurement. Tie a jump ring on one side of the fishing line. I did this a couple of times because I wanted to make sure that it did not fall off. Make sure that knot is nice and secure. Begin beading beads on. The beads I am using are transparent dark red seed beads with the diameter of 4.5 millimeters. Sorry about the metric and inches, imperial measurements switching. Yeah, it's just what it says on the container. I don't know where to go from it. Only bead a small amount onto the fishing line until it covers a small portion of your neck. For the other end, tie off a jump ring and then attach the clasp. Use universal glue and glue the knots to prevent them from becoming undone. You may have noticed that I like gluing my knots, and this is because I want my knots to stay in place. They're naughty if they come undone. Such naughty knots. When the glue is dry, go ahead and cut off the excess fishing line, and that's it. And that's it for the base. You can use this as you have it now if you want something minimal, or continue for the rest of the dripping bloody looks that I have prepared for you guys. For the first cut neck illusion necklace, we're taking the base and adding some strips down. To do this, I was going to go out and buy some flathead pins, but then I remembered that I just sewed, so I just used some flathead needles instead. The difference is the jewelry pins are longer and won't stab you, versus the flathead needles will stab you and will hurt a lot. So yay, I'm just being resourceful, so hooray, DIY on a budget! Tutorial time! So start beading your flathead pins with beads. You can use different sizes of beads, or if you want, you can use different types of beads on your pins. There's different types, just play around with it. Leave some space for the loop at the top. Make a semi-loop with the needle nose pliers, but don't close them just yet. Hook them onto the fishing line in between some of the beads or at the end, and then close off your dangly pieces at the loop. If you're making the base necklace first, you can make these separately and finish the loop at the top and then string them on like regular beads if that's easier for you and it's a little bit faster. But then you're done again. So it's super easy, really simple, and it just gives a little bit of extra Halloween deadly flair. And then no one will be the wiser. For the next necklace, this one is a bit more tedious and requires a bit of patience. Start with your necklace base and grab a needle and thread, preferably a beading needle. These are thinner than your average sewing needle. Thread your needle and tie a knot at the end. Make sure this is a really long piece of string. Take your needle and thread and feed it around a bead that's 2 away from the end. This can be done on the left or right side. Before you pull the knot through the bead, Pull the needle through the string loop, anchoring it down onto the bead. Now start adding beads on the string. This doesn't have to be a set amount, but this isn't going to be the only section. Just like my other beheaded choker tutorials, we are going to bring this back up to a bead on the fishing line, and this is going to create a little loop. Repeat this process until you reach 2 beads from the end, or how many you feel is necessary. Once you've hit the end and still have string left over, you can start going back the other direction, creating larger loops. You can repeat this process to create an extra gory couture look. If you begin to run out of string, you have a few options. A. Thread it through a bead on the fishing line, tie a few knots and sew it through the necklace and cut off the excess. This way this thread is secure and it's hidden inside the beads. Or B. Continue adding beads down. Cut the needle off of the threads and take one bead and sew it on one side of the thread. Then create several knots so that it all hangs. You can even add some glue at the ends to make sure it's super secure. Once you've added enough beads to your liking and gives off that I just had my throat slit look, you're done. You're all ready to wear this gooey couture look out and about, or, in these times of pandemic, on the couch. Next up, I have these really cool head injury barrettes. These were fast and quick to make, so let's jump into it. You will need hair weft clips, beads, sequins, a needle and thread, scissors, and some fabric. So, I'm going to be using this leftover jersey fabric for the base of my hair barrettes. Create a general oval shape, and I began to sew beads and sequins on the inside of the oval. What you want to do is sew the sequin first and then the beads to anchor it down. When you get a good fill, cut out your shape. Fill in the edges of this first part and you will be done with this part. This next part is up to you, but I decided to add some fringe, kind of like blood coming down. Using the same method as the necklace number 2, create loops and fringe hanging off the oval beaded piece. Feel free to add as much as you'd like, or as little or none at all. When you're finally done with all of that, take out your hair weft clip and go ahead and sew the top corner hole to the barrette piece. Once you're done with that, you're ready to go and dazzle people with your awesome head injury. If you're enjoying my content, please press the thumbs up. Okay, so now onto the bloody tears. To create this last tutorial, you'll need things that I mentioned previously in this video, such as scissors, fishing wire, beads, needle and thread, and E6000 or universal glue. Cut a small length the size of your eye band and glue one of the edges to keep the beads from falling off. You want to make sure that it's glued down first before adding beads. Now add beads so it's full, but it can still bend and contour to your eye shape. Glue the other side, making all the beads stay in place and not fall off. Snip off any of the excess fishing line. Add hanging droplets of blood like the Vampire Choker DIY or the hair barrette DIY, where you thread the string through a bead on the line and go all the way down with beads, loop back inside it, making sure that there's still an anchor at the bottom, and then repeat this a few times until you are happy with it. To wear them, add eyelash glue to your face first, which usually people say not to do, but in this case, these are very heavy, so you're going to need all the help you can get. And then when it's tacky, lay the beads on top. Now you can use something as spirit gum, but I personally will always just trust eyelash glue. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed all these bloody tutorials. No negative connotation here, just really gory and bloody. But make sure you check out some of my other videos of the 31 days of Halloween. Stay spooky, and I will see you in another video. Bye!